Hey, Ruby, is this how you act after seeing me for the first time in years at our reunion? You thought you could just waltz off with my makeup? You took my whole pouch, didn't you? Give it back. Huh? What are you even talking about? I have no idea what you mean. Don't try to act all innocent. Everyone there saw what happened. You blatantly stuffed my makeup pouch into your bag. Do you even realize how embarrassing that was for me? I thought after all this time maybe you'd matured, but clearly I was wrong. Grow up already. No, let's get one thing straight here. The one who hasn't grown up is you. It's actually kind of funny that you'd accuse me like this. Excuse you? What part of this is funny to you? Oh, come on. Think about it for a second, would you? You're really the one at fault here. Seriously, what were you even thinking carrying something so obviously out of your league? You brought this on yourself, honestly. Huh? Out of my league? Are you kidding me right now? You're saying that just because I come from a single-parent household, aren't you? You've always looked down on me for that, and I have had it. I have put up with years of you stealing my things, but enough is enough. Return it, you thief! Wow, the way you talk to me is so harsh. I'm just stating the obvious. Luxury items are meant for people who deserve them, you know? It's just common sense. Oh, give me a break. Stop acting like you're so much better than me just because you were born into a wealthier family. You've been pulling this nonsense for years, acting entitled, taking my things without permission, and pretending it's somehow my fault. I've had enough of your arrogance, Ruby. Jealous much? It's really not my fault that you can't handle reality. And I can't help that I have what you don't, and honestly, bottom-tier losers like you, your lives are basically over before they even begin. Just accept it. How dare you talk to me like that? Don't you dare call me a bottom-tier loser. For your information, I make more money than you do. Oh, wow, you sound so desperate right now. It's embarrassing, really. I can't even understand what you're trying to say at this point. It's so ridiculous. Honestly, just being associated with someone like you is mortifying. I think it's time we cut ties. Goodbye. Ruby, wait. Don't you dare walk away from me. Ruby! Ruby! So today is supposed to be my big day, my wedding day, you know. But something really weird happened. During my destination wedding in Hawaii, I could have sworn I saw someone who looks exactly like you. Let me ask, Ruby, was that you? Surely not, right? Oh, so now you're finally reaching out to me? After ignoring all my messages for the past year? You've got some nerve, but sure, I'll confirm it for you. I'm here. Not that I wanted to be, but yeah, I'm attending. Wait, are you serious? Oh my God, I can't believe this. Stop it. I'm laughing so hard I might ruin my makeup. You actually came uninvited? Do you even realize how ridiculous you look right now? Excuse me? Let me make this clear for you. There is no place for someone like you here. This wedding is for the elite, for people who actually belong in high society. My husband, he's a Harvard graduate, a top elite, the next CEO of his company, no less. All of our guests are on that same level, people who truly understand luxury and class. You, on the other hand, are completely out of your depth here. Just leave already. Oh, is that so? Well then, I suppose I'll take my leave. I wouldn't want to impose. Wait, hold on. Did you not hear what I just said? I am telling you to leave because people like you don't belong here. Your presence is an insult to everything this event represents. Why are you even here? Did you come just to mooch off the free trip to Hawaii? Or did you think crashing my wedding would somehow make you feel better about yourself? Either way, it's pathetic. Go home. Actually, I'm here as an invited guest, on the groom's side to be specific. What? Wait, what did you just say? You heard me. I'm here because the groom invited me. And don't worry, I'll be leaving soon. I had no intention of celebrating this sham of a wedding anyway. Honestly, it's hilarious watching you dig your own grave like this. Good luck cleaning up the mess you've made. Enjoy your big day.
Miss Claire, I'm so sorry for Ruby's rude behavior. I can't believe she'd say such horrible things.
Truly, I'm embarrassed for her.
No, it's okay. I'm just still shocked. I didn't expect her to act like that at all.
Well, I'm glad I sent you the screenshots as proof beforehand. Honestly, this seems like the right moment to say it. Your ability to judge people needs some serious work.
Wait, what do you mean?
The moment I learned Ruby was the one you were planning to marry, I knew you were being deceived. That girl, she's a master manipulator, an expert at pretending to be someone she's not. If I didn't have the evidence, I knew you wouldn't believe a word I said about her.
That might be true, but...
Look, I knew that if I attended the wedding, Ruby wouldn't be able to hold back. She was absolutely certain she'd show her true colors eventually. And, well, she did exactly that. Here's the thing. Your ability to connect with anyone is an incredible talent, something to be proud of. But your tendency to trust everyone who treats you kindly, that's your downfall. I warned you about this before, didn't I?
You're right, ma'am. My parents warned me about Ruby as well. But I was so determined to prove that my judgment was right. I didn't want to believe they could see something I couldn't. I think I let myself become blind to reality.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Ruby was at fault for exploiting your naivete, but you need to acknowledge your own role in this. I understand that you and your parents don't see eye to eye, and that probably made you more stubborn about proving them wrong. But let's be honest, it all backfired, didn't it?
It did. I'm sorry.
Well, you're an adult now, so I suggest you and Ruby figure out what's next together. It's your life and your responsibility to handle this mess.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing you need to worry about. Let's just say I have some personal grievances with Ruby. This whole situation, it's sort of my way of getting back at her. For years, I avoided her, ignored her nonsense, and pretended she didn't exist. But dragging you into her schemes, that's where I draw the line. I couldn't let her off the hook for that. You ruined my wedding! This is all your fault. Pay me back! I'm going to sue you for the entire cost of the ceremony. Excuse me? How exactly did I ruin your wedding when I wasn't even involved in the actual event? Don't play dumb. You kept it a secret that you knew Blake. You set me up. This was all part of your little scheme. Oh, that? Oh, yeah, I guess I forgot to mention it. But honestly, this is your fault, not mine. What did you just say? I mean, let's think about this logically. You were trying to marry someone way out of your league. Isn't that exactly what you've always said about people like me? Luxury items, luxury lifestyles, they're meant for people who deserve them, right? So by your own logic, marrying a Harvard graduate and future CEO doesn't really suit you, does it? Guess this means goodbye to your celebrity lifestyle. Am I wrong? You've got to be kidding me. What do you even have against me? Why are you doing this to me? You've ruined my life and you think you can just walk away? I'm sorry, but I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. Listening to you is exhausting, so I think this is where I cut ties. Bye now. Don't you dare hang up on me. You think you can just end the conversation whenever you want? Don't walk away from this, you lowlife. Pick up the phone, you pathetic bottom feeder. Blake, please, I'm begging you. Think this through one more time.
I've already thought it through enough. The decision is final. Just sign the divorce papers and stop dragging this out.
Wait, no, I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you abandoning me like this? Didn't we love each other? Didn't we promise forever?
I've seen your true colors, Ruby. You lied to me, deceived me, and made a fool out of me. I'm ashamed of myself for not realizing it sooner.
I didn't deceive you. I would never. If anything, you're the one who's been manipulated.
What are you even talking about right now?
It's that poor loser, isn't it? She's filled your head with nonsense, hasn't she? Listen to me. Claire has always been jealous of me. Ever since we were kids, she's resented me for being born into wealth and having the life she could never have. She's been lying about me just to ruin my reputation.
Is that all you have to say for yourself?
What do you mean?
What I mean is that your excuses are absurd and pathetic. Your delusional ramblings are exhausting to listen to. Can we wrap this up? If you're done making a fool of yourself, just sign the papers.
Why? Why are you only listening to Claire? She's an outsider, Blake. I am your wife. Shouldn't I be a priority over some stranger?
Claire is not a stranger. I've known her far longer than I've known you.
Wait, what? You've known her for that long? What are you even talking about?
Claire used to be my private tutor. She's the reason I got into Harvard. If it weren't for her guidance, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Wait a second. Hold on, that doesn't make sense. You're telling me her, that loser, that idiot, managed to tutor you to Harvard? Are you hearing yourself? She's nothing but a high school graduate. There is no way someone with her level of intelligence could have done that.
You're wrong. Claire was actually accepted into Harvard herself. She just couldn't attend for personal reasons and had to decline her spot. But her acceptance letter and her results, they're all legitimate.
What? You're saying she got into Harvard?
That's right. The idiot you've been belittling is far more capable than you could ever imagine. To top it off, she's the one who helped me achieve my goals. You know my family, right? The elite, high-achieving kind. Claire wasn't just a random choice. She was recommended by my father himself. Do you understand what that means? If my father, who accepts nothing but the best, trusted her, then her abilities speak for themselves.
Okay, fine. Your father's known for being strict, but...
Strict doesn't even begin to cover it. My relationship with my father has never been great, honestly. I grew up in a household where nothing less than the best was acceptable. I never felt like I belonged there. But Claire? She was different. No matter how my results turned out, she always celebrated my progress and made me feel like I was worth something. She was more than a tutor to me. She was like family. Like the oldest sister I never had. And you insulted her. Mocked her. Do you really think I'd let that slide?
Wait, you are blowing this out of proportion. She's just some nobody from a poor single-parent family. Why does her opinion matter more than mine?
Are you even listening to yourself right now? Do you hear how vile you sound? Let me make it crystal clear. Disrespecting Claire is the same as disrespecting my family. And the fact that you're still throwing a tantrum instead of apologizing, it's disgraceful.
No, Blake, you're the one who's wrong. You're the one being unreasonable.
That's enough, Ruby. This conversation is over. You're wasting my time. Pack your things and leave the house immediately. If you refuse, I'll call security to escort you out.
How could you? Kicking me out of our home? Do you even have a heart?
I don't have compassion for people who lack humanity. Sign the divorce papers and disappear from my life.
No, I won't do it. If I leave now, I'll be nothing but an old washed-up woman with no prospects. You can't do this to me.
Ruby, you know my family values. My household is built on success and integrity. There's no place for someone like you in my life. I refuse to have a liar and manipulator in my family. You're not welcome here anymore.
It's all your fault my life is completely ruined. I have been kicked out of my house, and thanks to the nonsense you spewed to my family, I can't even go back to my parents' place. What the hell were you thinking? What was I thinking? I only told the truth. Honestly, you should be thankful it ended with just a divorce. If I were you, I'd consider myself lucky. Of course, I'm planning a little more punishment for you. Huh? What are you talking about? If anyone's dealing out punishment, it's me. Don't play the victim here. You're the real criminal, you disgusting monster. A criminal? If we're talking about criminals, shouldn't we start with you? What? Don't play dumb. You've always had that nasty habit of taking things that didn't belong to you, haven't you? Since forever, you've been spouting nonsense about how poor people don't deserve nice things, then going around stealing them for yourself. Isn't that right, or has that habit just evolved over time? That's not... Anyway, I've already reported you to the police. Oh, and by the way, I also shared your charming little habit with all the guests who attended your wedding. I thought it'd be a nice gesture to keep them informed, you know? I wouldn't be surprised if they started filing reports of their own soon. Who knows, maybe your habit caught up with you more than you realized. You're insane! Are you trying to paint me as a criminal? There's no way I'll let this slide. You have destroyed my life, and I won't rest until I drag you straight into hell with me. I'm heading to your house right now, so get ready to face me. My house? Oh, you mean the one I've already moved out of? Sorry, but it's empty now. Huh? Yeah, I moved. I told you already, didn't I? Or are your ears not working properly? Anyway, the house is gone now. It was a good chance to sell it since it was just me living there. The place was way too big for one person. Oh, and selling it was actually my mom's idea. So yeah, the address you have? Completely useless now. You sold your family home? Are you insane? Selling a house filled with memories of your family? Wow, that's cold even for you. Typical behavior from someone with no heart. Honestly, it's no surprise. A woman from a single mother household who lied about getting into Harvard. Guess scammers like you will do whatever it takes to survive. Lie? About Harvard? I wasn't lying. I got accepted. I just didn't go. As if anyone believes that. This is Harvard we're talking about. If you'd gotten in, you'd have moved heaven and earth to attend. Oh wait, let me guess. You couldn't afford it, could you? Figures. It's true that money was part of it, but it wasn't the main reason. My mom collapsed right before I was supposed to start. She was diagnosed with cancer and it had already spread. There was no saving her. I just couldn't leave her like that. I wanted to be by her side until the very end. Wait, what? Even someone like me has a heart, believe it or not. Yes, I grew up in a single mother household, and sure, life isn't easy. But my dad left us an inheritance, and my mom worked tirelessly to make sure we had everything we needed. We weren't rich, but we weren't destitute either. Thanks to my grandparents, I even had a quiet place to study. You know I was always at the top of our class, right? Huh? Were you? I consistently ranked in the top 3 every single year. I earned my spot at Harvard fair and square, and I was planning to attend with scholarships and grants. But then my mom's health took a turn for the worse. The doctors told us the cancer had metastasized and there was no hope for recovery. You remember how my dad passed away, right? He had a sudden illness and I didn't make it in time to say goodbye. I didn't want that to happen again. So I made the choice to decline my acceptance and stay by her side. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one. That's... Still, why are you wasting your time working as a tutor if that's true? At first, I was just a regular teacher at a cram school. But then Blake's father heard about my Harvard acceptance and approached me. He insisted I tutor his son. That's how I ended up here. So no, I never lied about anything, not that it's any of your business. Honestly, aren't you in the least bit ashamed criticizing me when you have no leg to stand on? Excuse me? Sure, being from a single-parent household has its challenges, but that doesn't give anyone the right to steal or belittle others. You've crossed so many lines. Shut up! Poor people deserve to be exploited. That's funny because I'm actually wealthier than you now. Blake hired me as his company's personal secretary. You know how prestigious his firm is, right? The pay is fantastic. I'm living a pretty comfortable life these days. What? Wait, Blake's company? The famous one as a secretary? But even the general hiring process there is insanely competitive. Well, Blake personally recommended me. Said he couldn't trust anyone else for the job. That's impossible. How could this happen? So here's the thing. Why don't you stop wasting your time envying me? I have everything you don't, and I'm not about to lose sleep over someone like you. Instead, maybe focus on enjoying your inevitable downfall. You've got a long way to fall. Good luck hitting rock bottom. Please make it a settlement. If this continues, things will get really bad for me. Wow, this is incredible. There are far more victims than I expected. It's more than double, isn't it? But tell me, doesn't it seem a little pathetic begging for your life after you've mocked me so much? If this keeps going like this, I am going to be a full-fledged criminal and my life will be over. I'll beg and flatter you to survive if I have to. Please just forgive me. We were classmates after all, right? Sorry, but I can't forgive you for betraying him. What? Blake, to me, is like a younger brother. That's why I went to the wedding. I was prepared to be insulted, all for the hope that you would reconsider the marriage. But who could have known? I'd hear rumors during the ceremony that you were cheating. I didn't want to believe it, so I looked into it, and it turns out you had multiple affairs. You were involved with some sugar daddies too, right? One of them I remember hearing about. I made sure to tell Blake. It seems you were lying to those sugar daddies as well. Now you'll be arrested, forced to pay alimony, settlement money, and damages. It's truly a shame. Enjoy your life filled with debt and extreme poverty. Please help me. I'll do anything, even bow down to you. I won't be able to survive otherwise. Get arrested and let your life be over. Goodbye. No! Blake, how are you doing? Have you managed to look ahead a little more?
Miss Claire, I'm sorry for worrying you. Honestly, this whole thing has been really tough on me. Not only did I fail to notice Ruby's true intentions, but I was also cheated on. And all came out to my parents, who were seriously worried about me. It's so embarrassing. This whole situation has been so overwhelming that I've only now started to have a proper conversation with them.
I see. Do you think you'll be able to get along better with your parents?
My parents, they apologized for the past. They admitted that they pushed me too hard with the studying. Honestly, I thought their apology was a bit too late. I still hold a lot of resentment. When I saw how worried they were, I felt guilty. I realized just how immature I had been. It's because of you, Miss Claire, that I'm able to face forward now.
I'm glad I could help you and that I've been able to help repay the favor.
Repay the favor?
Actually, during our tutoring sessions, my mother passed away. I was really devastated by it. I kept it hidden from you.
Oh, I see. I'm so sorry. I didn't notice at all.
I didn't want to make you worry about me. But during that time, your positivity really helped me. I'm glad I was able to return the favor and be there for you.
Miss Claire?
Yes, what is it?
Well, I'm divorced and I guess I'm not really someone you'd look at as a partner, right?
That's right. I can't look at you that way.
So blunt.
As I've told you before, you're like a younger brother to me. I can't see my little brother in a romantic light.
I knew it was no use.
Hey, it's not good to confess like that. You're only making things awkward.
Sorry. Oh, but please invite me to your wedding. I really don't want to have my own wedding for a while, but I would love to attend yours. I'm just joking.
I'll definitely invite you soon.
Huh?
You do realize I'm about to change my last name, right? So, of course, you'll be there to celebrate it, won't you?
Definitely. I'll absolutely be there to celebrate.
I don't have any relatives left anymore, but you'll be there to stand in for them, right? I can count on you to celebrate with me, can't I?
Of course, I'll be there without fail. You can count on me to be there for you on such an important day.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. I know I don't have much family left, but I'm lucky to have you around.
I'm glad I can be there for you, Miss Claire. You've always been so kind to me, and I want to be there to support you, just like you have supported me.
Thank you, Blake. It's because of people like you that I can move forward. I truly appreciate you. Ruby was arrested for theft. It seems that in addition to the theft charges, she had also been involved in burglary. Several victims had already filed police reports against her, and her personal situation was even worse than it appeared on the surface. She was tangled up in an overwhelming amount of debt, including alimony payments following her divorce, compensation fees she had been ordered to pay, and a mountain of loans she had taken out to cover her daily expenses. In a cruel twist of fate, she found herself caught in a vicious cycle of financial despair. It was as if her entire life had come crashing down, and all of her hopes and dreams had evaporated in an instant. To understand the gravity of Ruby's situation, one must look at the journey that led to her downfall. From the outside, Ruby seemed like a regular person, someone who lived a modest life and kept to herself. She had a steady job and managed to maintain a facade of normalcy. However, behind closed doors, her life was far from stable. Her financial situation had been deteriorating for quite some time, and the pressure was slowly crushing her. Ruby's criminal activities had been a desperate attempt to cover up for her financial struggles. The burglaries had been going on for months, possibly even years, without anyone noticing. She targeted homes in the neighborhood, breaking in under the cover of night and taking whatever she could find. It wasn't just the material possessions she was after, it seemed like she was also trying to take something intangible, something that would give her a fleeting sense of control over her life. She may have hoped that by stealing those items, she could somehow fix the mess she had made in her financial world. But the truth was that each theft only dug her deeper into a hole. The police had been investigating a series of home burglaries in the area, but they hadn't been able to track down the culprit. That is, until the reports started to pile up. The victims had described similar events. Their homes had been broken into and valuable items had gone missing. It wasn't long before the investigation zeroed in on Ruby. It was a matter of time before the authorities connected the dots. Eventually, they caught up with her, and it became clear that she was responsible for the crimes. But Ruby's troubles didn't end with the theft charges. It was discovered that her financial troubles were far worse than anyone had anticipated. Not only had she been struggling to manage her money, but she had been avoiding her responsibilities for years. She had borrowed money from various sources, taking out loans to make ends meet. These loans quickly grew out of control, and Ruby had no idea how to handle the mounting debt. In addition to her personal debts, Ruby had also been facing the harsh reality of her divorce. Her marriage had been on the rocks for a long time before it ended. Her husband had grown tired of her financial mismanagement and her inability to address the mounting issues in their relationship. When they parted ways, it was clear that Ruby had very little to show for the years they had spent together. In fact, she was left with nothing but a large spousal support payment she couldn't afford. The divorce had been particularly bitter, and Ruby found herself caught up in the emotional fallout of the separation. While her ex-husband moved on with his life, Ruby was left to deal with the aftermath. The spousal support she had been ordered to pay was astronomical, and it only added to the financial burden she was already carrying. Every month she struggled to scrape together enough money to meet her obligations. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't keep up with the payments. The compensation fees Ruby was also required to pay were another crushing weight on her shoulders. These were the result of various legal battles she had lost over the years. Whether it was for damages she had caused or for other legal matters, Ruby was left to deal with the consequences of her actions. These fees were just another reminder of how far her life had fallen, and they only contributed to her growing sense of hopelessness. As Ruby's debts continued to pile up, she found herself trapped. She was unable to keep up with the demands of her creditors, and every day felt like a struggle for survival. It wasn't just the financial strain that weighed on her, it was the emotional toll that came with it. Ruby was isolated, her social life had been all but destroyed, and she had little to no support from friends or family. She had pushed people away over the years, and now she was paying the price for it. The thefts were the last straw. They were the culmination of years of bad decisions, poor planning, and neglect. Ruby had reached the point of no return, and when the police arrived to arrest her, it felt like the end of the line. Her life as she knew it was over. She had no job to return to, no home to go back to, and no real future to look forward to. Her arrest marked the final chapter in a tragic story of financial mismanagement, criminal activity, and personal failure. The news of Ruby's arrest sent shockwaves through her community. People who had known her for years were stunned. Many couldn't believe that someone they had once trusted could fall so far. They had no idea that Ruby was living a double life, one filled with secrets, lies, and despair. Some people felt sympathy for her, understanding that her actions were the result of years of pent-up pressure and stress. Others, however, were angry. They had been victims of her crimes and they felt betrayed by her. In the end, Ruby's story was one of tragic consequence. Her arrest and subsequent downfall served as a harsh reminder that no matter how carefully someone tries to hide their problems, they will eventually catch up with them. Ruby had spent years trying to outrun her mistakes, but in the end, she couldn't escape the inevitable. Her life, once filled with hope and potential, had been reduced to a series of poor decisions, stolen moments, and irreversible mistakes. As Ruby sat in her cell facing the consequences of her actions, she realized that there was no easy way out. She had lost everything that once mattered to her, and all that remained was the cold reality of her situation. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Ruby's life had been forever changed by the choices she had made, and now she would have to live with those choices for the rest of her life. On the other hand, I got married and had a wedding. Of course, I invited Blake as well, but during the ceremony, he was crying, and no matter how much time passed, I couldn't help but feel that he would always be my cute little brother. It was truly an amazing day, and I'm so happy that I was able to have such a wonderful wedding. Looking back, I could never have imagined this day would come. Getting married felt like a dream, something I had always hoped for but never really believed would happen to me. Growing up, weddings were always these grand, almost magical events in my mind. They were about love, promises, and new beginnings, but now, standing in front of everyone, in the middle of my own ceremony, it felt completely surreal. It was hard to believe that it was actually happening. The excitement in the air was palpable, and everything felt perfect. My dress, the decorations, the atmosphere, and of course, the people around me. I had always imagined this moment with a sense of anticipation, but it turned out to be even more beautiful than I had ever envisioned. There were flowers everywhere, smiles on everyone's faces, and laughter filling the air. But what made the day truly special wasn't just the beauty of the event or the grand setting, it was the people who shared it with me, especially Blake. Blake had been my close friend for as long as I could remember. We had been through so much together, ups and downs, laughter and tears, but through it all, he had been there. He was the one who stood by me during my toughest times, offering his unwavering support, and when it came to my wedding, I knew I had to have him there by my side. I noticed him right away when I saw him sitting in the audience, his eyes glistening with tears. I smiled, though a part of me felt a little emotional too. Blake had always been there for me, but seeing him cry on my wedding day felt like a reminder of how far we had come and how much we had changed over the years. It was a sign of just how deep our bond was, and even though we were both adults now, in that moment I couldn't help but feel like I was still taking care of him, like I was his older sister guiding him along. It was funny in a way. Here I was, a grown woman, about to begin a new chapter of my life with the man I loved, and yet Blake was still the same adorable little brother to me. Time had passed, and we had both grown and changed in so many ways, but that bond we shared had remained constant. He would always be the person I could rely on, the person who would always be there to support me, no matter where life took us. I watched him carefully as the ceremony continued. He wiped his eyes, trying to hide his tears, but I could see them. It was both heartwarming and bittersweet. Blake wasn't just my friend, he was family. He had always been there for me, even when I didn't realize I needed him. I could see the pride in his eyes as he watched me step into this new phase of my life, and it made me feel incredibly grateful. It was as though he was proud of me, proud of the woman I had become and the journey I was about to take with my new husband. The wedding ceremony went by in a blur, but as it all came together, I realized how fortunate I was to be surrounded by so many people who cared about me. To have found the love of my life and to have someone like Blake by my side, how could I not feel overwhelmed with joy? I could hear the vows being exchanged. I see the smiles of my friends and family and feel the love in the air. It was one of these moments in life where everything just felt right, when you knew that everything was falling into place. And Blake, despite his tears, was a big part of that. He wasn't just a guest at the wedding, he was an essential part of my story. His presence there meant the world to me. I couldn't imagine celebrating such a momentous occasion without him. As the ceremony ended and everyone moved to the reception, I made sure to find him and thank him. I wanted him to know just how much his support meant to me and how much his friendship had helped shape the person I had become. Looking at Blake, I couldn't help but think about the future. Even though this was my wedding day, it felt like a new beginning for us all. As we celebrated, I realized that no matter where life would take me, I would always have the memories of this day and the people who made it special. Blake would always be there, a constant in my life, someone I could turn to no matter what came next. The thought brought me peace, knowing that even as I entered this new chapter with my husband, Blake would still be an important part of my life.
Hello, Patricia. Thank you again for coming all the way over here to come and spend some time with my family as we all get to know you. And the fact that you're even willing and able to cook is just the most amazing thing for everyone here. We're all oh so looking forward to what you'll have ready for us by the time lunch starts.
And thank you as well, Ashley. It was so kind of you to invite me out here to finally come and see the parents of the young woman my son is so very in love with. I've also been having a very fun time with you cooking all these dishes, and I hope you all really do look forward to eating what I've made for you all today. Actually, I really am thankful that you let me help cook this time. It's helped me calm my nerves a little bit, considering that this is my first time being over at your guys' house and first time seeing you in person.
Yes, no worries. I had to make sure you could cook since you come from a moneyless family. But it brings me great joy to see that you can, in fact, work with higher quality foods. I mean, I was almost certain that a lot of the appliances in here would be too high-tech for you to understand.
Huh?
Did you have a good look around my kitchen? It's outstanding, right? We make sure to have all the most up-to-date cooking appliances in it so that all our meals are prepared the best. And when you had a chance to look inside our refrigerator, you got to see all our perfect meats and produce, right? We only allow foods that come directly from the sources they're gathered from. And yes, that does mean that a lot of our food is imported, but we're willing to pay that extra price for such delicious ingredients. And when it comes to all my storage in the kitchen, well, as you can see, I make sure that it is all well managed so that I never forget where something is. But of course, this is all possible because of my husband having so many restaurants under his company name, right?
Yeah. Well, I can tell that you really put a lot of time into your kitchen, Ashley. And I hope that you weren't too nervous letting me handle some of those appliances of yours.
I could never begin to imagine the kind of kitchen you must have to work in most of the time back at your home. I'm sure that there aren't nearly the amount of appliances we have in there, and most of your food is probably frozen and disgusting, right? Oh, I just can't see myself ever having to cook in a place like that. Do you guys even clean it out at all, or is most of the leftover foods from last year still sitting around in there?
Well, no, not really, but as for myself, I'm pretty busy with other things, so I never really have the time to work in my kitchen anyway. Nobody's really home anymore either, so that's another reason for not really cooking in there.
Oh, are you like those poor people that never stop working hard at laborious jobs? Well, that must be so tiring for you indeed. I guess that means you force yourself and your son to eat out all the time then. Fast food? That must be so hard on your guys' health, right? Unlike you all, my family never really has to work hard, so I'm not really able to understand what you guys have to go through.
Well, anyway, before everything we've made up today starts to get cold, let's bring it out to the dining table and get to eating. I'm sure that even Dave and Amy's stomachs are beginning to hurt as we speak.
Good point. But listen, I just had a quick glance at the food you ended up cooking for today. Have you made sure to measure the amount of salt you put into this dish properly?
The amount of salt in it?
It seems that you put quite the emphasis on salt in your dish, using things like soy sauce in it as well as table salt. Are you sure that this dish isn't too salty?
Well, of course I didn't use a huge amount in that dish. Please excuse me, but I added the appropriate amounts of salt that I thought was needed as I went along making that dish.
Huh. Well, if you hadn't measured the amount of sodium properly in your dish, then what would happen to you if perhaps my husband or daughter's health went downhill due to your dish? Well, this is all very unfortunate. I suppose I was better off not asking you to help cook with me.
But when I had asked you for a spoon to measure out the amount of soy sauce I was putting in my dish, you told me you didn't want me touching any of your silverware.
Is that right? So now you're going to make up more excuses for this? Well, for now, I'm going to have to toss all of this in the trash. You're fine with that, right?
Wait, what? You're going to throw away the perfectly good food I just cooked?
That's right. I can't let anyone eat this food when we have no idea what all's in it. Ugh, and this all had to happen while my family and yours are saying they're so hungry. Now we're going to have to go back and cook everything from scratch.
I was really doing my best to make sure that everything was properly balanced out in that dish, including the salt. And I have confidence that that dish is perfectly safe for eating.
Huh? Oh, don't make me laugh. I know that moneyless people like yourself never bother to think about making your dishes, healthy or not. You guys love to consume your salts, and that's why you all end up being so large.
That is not the case in my family.
Go and throw all that food out for me, please. That should be all right with you, right? Oh, perhaps we should go out to eat instead today. I'm going to bring the car out for everyone, so you follow behind us, okay?
Huh? You're okay with me coming along with you all as well?
Well, you did come today to talk with my family about the marriage of your son and my daughter that's coming up really soon, right? And so far, we all haven't really had the time to talk with you and get to know you more. So when we get to the restaurant, we can all sit down and have plenty of time to talk to one another.
Understood.
So how was it, Patricia? This restaurant is pretty special, isn't it? But of course you've never had the kind of French food this place has served up before, right?
That's right, but I do know about this restaurant.
Is that so? I'm sure you've seen it on TV or maybe read about it online, right? After all, this is the kind of restaurant that attracts even the most affluent of people to it, so it's very well known all over the world. And I'll have you know that the owner of this place is a close friend of mine. It's because of the support and funding that I gave this place that they were able to even open the restaurant in the first place.
Is that so? Well, that's very interesting indeed.
But of course, I'm sure that someone like you can't even imagine what kind of place this is on the inside, so let's go on in. And make sure to tell your son Dave to not make any scenes and handle himself maturely, okay?
My son is not 5 years old anymore, so you really don't have to worry about him. Just worry about yourself and we'll all be fine today.
Well, he only had a mother around to raise him all his life, so I'm a bit worried about whether he was able to get the right education or not from only you. As for Amy, she is a CEO father to lead her and a career woman like me to be her mother figure. My husband and I are just so amazing, and she was so lucky to be born into our family. So we never have to worry about her being a proper adult.
Huh. Is that so? You often talk about yourselves as being a very amazing family and all that, don't you? It makes me feel very embarrassed about everything.
You can feel all the embarrassment you want, but that's only natural considering you and your son are both losers in this world and will never amount to the success my family has. And since I've made it all the way to the top with my own strength, I have the right to toot my own horn every once in a while about it. Anything I think of, I will say. And I have the right to do that as I'm a winner in this world.
Well, can we stop with all this horn tooting as we're about to go into the restaurant right now? As of right now, we've just been sitting in our cars in this parking lot for a few minutes now, and I'd kinda like to go inside.
Well, you have a good point, Patricia.
Ashley? Why am I only being served mashed potatoes right now while the rest of you get to have actual course-based meals?
Well, that's because to a poor person like you, all you need is mashed potatoes, right?
Hold on. How much longer are you going to come at me like that? Your jokes are getting a bit stale now, so please just treat me as your equal, okay? We're not in middle school anymore either, so let's just be adults about all this and enjoy the time we get to spend with our kids today.
Huh? Why are you trying to talk to me like you know better when you can't even afford this year's model of cars? Oh, I could laugh so hard at this right now. Are you trying your hardest right now to make yourself look better in front of me? It's because of us wealthy people that the poor like you are able to live at all in this world, so please be more kind to me and my family and maybe say thank you more often.
Is that so? By the way, where are you right now?
Right now I'm outside having myself a cigarette. Is there something wrong?
You're smoking a cigarette? If I remember correctly, this restaurant doesn't allow smoking on the premises, and that means outside as well.
I am an investor in this restaurant, so I have the right to smoke whenever I please. My goodness, you're trying so hard to find a way to take me down off my high horse, and it's just so adorable.
That isn't what I'm trying to do at all right now, actually.
What's wrong, Patricia? Just a few minutes ago, you started to act like a tough little girl in front of me. You don't have to worry about your appearance in front of me and my family, as we already know the kind of filth you really are. So let's just enjoy our time together, and please enjoy this fine restaurant, as you'll probably never be able to eat here again. Right?
You really like talking down to me like that.
Today is a very special day for our kids, so let's just enjoy this lovely French food, all right? Well, I suppose the rest of us will, while the poor get to enjoy that huge plate of mashed potatoes.
Our family is freaking over with.
Huh?
You! What the hell did you think you were doing? I had a feeling that something was wrong when Patricia only received a plate of mashed potatoes unlike the rest of us who were getting served a full course. But then I realized that you were the one that ordered all those potatoes for her.
Why are you getting upset with me? I was just doing all of that as a sort of joke is all.
Why are you trying to joke around with her like that? That's not even a joke to most people like her, but rather you trying to offend her.
I'm sorry, Dakota. But really, why are you getting so upset over something as small as that? We are all leagues above someone like her and Dave, so what I've done isn't a problem for us at all.
You think that our family is leagues above hers? What the actual hell are you going on about?
Well, I'm correct, right? Our family happens to have way more money than that single mother and her childish son have. And it's our family's money that helps keep moneyless freaks like them alive in the first place, right?
I'm so over you right now that I can't even let out a single sigh. That way of thinking is already more than a problem for you. But if you really want to talk about who's above the other here, it's her. Her and her family are leagues above us.
Huh? Why's that?
Why's that? Do you really not know who the hell she is? Right now, Patricia is the #1 supporter of my company, and has been for a very, very long time.
Huh? Are you sure about that? I never heard a thing about that from someone like you or anyone else.
I know for a fact that I've spoken with you before about how Patricia has put a lot of money into my company. But I guess you never listened to what I said to you at all back then. And before we even begin to talk more about what she's done for my company, we need to talk about how you've been treating her. It doesn't even matter if she's considered below or above us. The way you've been trying to offend her is not okay.
When you say that she's given a lot to your company, what do you mean?
Like myself, she works within the food service business as well as I, and we are both considered top of our classes in this industry. And when she learned about how I was starting all sorts of businesses in fine dining across the US, she began to invest in my company, making sure that I was able to get as many restaurants going as possible.
Huh?
And not only has she been investing in my company, but she herself owns plenty of restaurants, ranging from places that specialize in burgers to places that do sushi. She has really been doing it all in this industry and has made sure that my company does just as well as hers with her support. I can't even raise a finger to her because of how much she's given me. And now you've started to pick on her? What the hell is wrong with you?
But nobody ever told me anything about this, so I had no clue she had that kind of power. I guess I may have heard something like this from you, but I never imagined that the person you were talking about was her. All right, I'm going to come back in there right now and have the waiter take back her order and get her a course meal as well.
I've already made sure to order her a proper course here, so you don't have to come back in here. Actually, I'm not going to allow you back in here. You go right back home from here, all right?
Why should I have to go home? Aren't you being a jackass right now?
Are you freaking kidding me right now? You just tried to hurt one of the most important people to this family. So having you come back and acting as though nothing ever happened will only make things worse for us. I'm not going to allow you to offend her any more than you already have. I'm trying to think of the future of my company now, so go away.
Understood. But how am I supposed to get home all by myself? I can't drive a car or anything like that. You know that, right?
Take a bus or a taxi or anything to get you out of the vicinity of this restaurant. Are you really that brainless that you can't even fend for yourself out there?
All right then.
Patricia, I'm so very sorry for what happened today. I never thought that my wife would ever do something as idiotic as try to make fun of you.
No, don't worry about it, Dakota. I've been able to calm myself down now after all of that. Really, all she's done to me now is made me have to think a bit more about a few things.
What things has she made you start thinking about?
Well, about my marriage life and about what I do for a living.
Wait, you don't have to think about all of that because of her. I'll take full responsibility for what she's done to you and take the full repercussion of it. So, please, can you make sure not to harm the project we have going on at the moment?
But it seems that Dave no longer wants to go through with the project. After all, this was all his idea, and he's been left in control of what happens and when it happens regarding this project. I've only stood by his side as an investor to him, and so that new burger restaurant you both are working on falls on his shoulders, depending on what he decides to do with it now.
Is that right? Well, then there's nothing else that can be done about it then. He had to sit there and watch as my wife made terrible comments about the two of you, and I'm sure that someone like him would never want to continue working with the husband of a woman like that. Understood. I'll stop with all the selfish comments I've been making regarding my business and yours, and let you be.
I'm sorry, Dakota, but thank you.
But on a very personal note, I am so very sorry for everything.
What is this about you wanting to get a divorce soon? I am not going to allow you to get a divorce from me.
I've had enough of your childish crap, Ashley. And the fact that you might be putting my own money at risk now? I don't want you around me ever again. all right? I doubt you even realize just how important of business I had with someone like Lola and her son, and now it's all going to be lost because of you. But there's still some hope of us being able to make something new work. So to keep that from falling through, I need you to leave me. My job is far more important than some selfish wife, and that's why I want this divorce.
What the hell? Are you really going to sit there telling your own wife that your job is more important to you than her?
It's not the company itself that's more important to me than you are, but those that work for me, and those that work with me that are more important than you.
What?
I am the CEO of a very large company, and I am the one held responsible for all my employees and customers. And recently, I began a very important project with both Dave and a few other very important customers. And if that project really does fall flat, then I'm going to be the one getting screwed, not you. So I need to do whatever I can to make things right again with Dave, and that means getting rid of you.
So that's your reasoning for wanting to divorce me?
That's exactly right. I'm sure that a long time ago you viewed me as your husband, but all I see from you now is using me as your ATM and your status keeper. So divorcing and cutting ties with you might just help you realize that what you're losing is more than just your money.
So you're just going to throw me away just so I can see that I'm losing my husband? Well, if you do that, I'm going to make you regret throwing a woman like me away.
These past few years, as my company grew and we gained more wealth, I've noticed that your head was getting too big for your body. And after a while, I really started to get tired of hearing you brag about yourself nonstop to everyone we met. I was able to just go on with my life ignoring what you were saying and doing, but today you crossed the line. What you did to Patricia's cooking by throwing it away after saying it wasn't good enough.
Well, come on, it's not my fault that she's so bad at cooking that she could cause you or Amy harm.
She's so bad at cooking? Do you have any clue what you're talking about right now? That woman used to run a restaurant of her own with 2 Michelin stars.
Huh?
But as of now, she no longer runs that restaurant because she's busy operating about 100 others through her company. Patricia is a very amazing woman, and her success speaks far louder than whatever lousy cooking you think you can make. To think that you went and threw her food away like that. I was looking forward to trying it all out.
Well, I never knew that. If you would have told me sooner, none of this would ever be happening.
I've had enough. You've done far too much talking today. You really think I want to live with a woman like you after all the horrible things you've done? I want you out of the house by the end of the night. Understood?
Wait, Dakota! Hey, Patricia, please listen to me. Can you talk with your son and get him to continue with the project he had with my husband? What's all this about? Your company and my husband's company have a project going on right now, right? Can you please get that project back on track like it always should have been? Please? And as of right now, I'm talking with my son about that. It's because of you talking about it that my husband is going to divorce me soon. So please, I really do feel sorry for what I've done, so get back to having your son work on that project with my husband and let me stay married to my husband. Are you kidding me, Ashley? You're telling me that Dakota is divorcing you? I knew that he was a man of his company and his employees. He must really want me to see that he does care more about our partnership rather than whatever he had with you. Stop thinking about it like that. He's telling me he wants me gone so he can focus on his work full-time. That's not okay, right? Don't you feel bad that I'm going to lose my husband because of his selfish behaviors? I don't feel bad for you at all. I think what he's chosen to do is the right thing and the perfect way of handling the cards he's been dealt.
And also Dakota has been a dear friend of mine and a good business partner for a very long time, Ashley. To be blunt, he really does care a whole lot about his work, but he cares even more about the people he employs and the customers he has. He is such a powerful man for being that way.
And as his wife, I know all of that better than anyone else.
You do? Well, I guess you know about everything besides who his biggest supporter is and what project he's in the middle of working on, right?
And when it comes to those two things, I happen to just forget about them. Now go call my husband and tell him that you will get your son to continue the project, and then have him cancel the divorce.
Are you sure you feel sorry about what you did to me? Because this all seems like anything but you feeling sorry about what you did to me. I have no idea what's made you think you deserve everything in this world at the cost of others.
Well, it's because you don't know the first thing about higher class people like me.
Oh, I do understand people like you, though. Now I'm going to call Dakota and let him know what both my son and I have been thinking about that project for you.
Huh? Really?
Yes, really. And this is all going to be about your divorce from him, okay?
Huh?
I'll make sure that he will no longer have to worry about a thing and can get right back to focusing on his company and his customers. I think Dave will be fine with all of this as well.
Hold on a moment. Why are you trying to bully me now? If I have to leave my husband for good, I'll seriously be on my own in this world without anyone to help me. Even Amy is telling me that she'll never speak to me again after the divorce.
I am not going to forget about how you sat there in front of my own son making fun of the person I am. I worked so dang hard to raise my son into the man he is today and had to sacrifice a lot to get him there. As a single parent, I had to balance work and parenting to make sure both needs were met. And hearing from you that I failed to raise him properly and have a proper job, I am not going to let you get away with crap like that around me.
You witch! You think you're all that now that my husband is against me? I'll have you know, Lola, that I have plenty of other connections. I told you about how I'm the one that is invested into that French restaurant we went to earlier, right? Even if you try to make me suffer for you being such an emotional witch, I am going to keep on living as the winner. How does that make you feel, knowing I'll never lose? I bet it stings, right?
Right, I almost forgot to say this. You have been banned from ever entering that restaurant again, so go ahead and toot that horn of yours some more.
Huh? I've been banned from there? What the hell do you think you're talking about? Tell me, what's their reason for having me banned from going into their restaurant?
Well, you proceeded to smoke on the premises of that restaurant, and it caused a bother for a lot of the customers coming in and out of there. And this isn't your first time doing that either, so this was the final straw.
Huh. Who do they think they are, banning an investor like me from going inside their restaurant? You can pretty much call me the owner of that place, and I say that I'm allowed to do whatever I want there.
Well, if you'd like to know who the real owner of that place is, it's me.
Huh?
Recently, I had been hearing about how there was someone saying they were a huge investor for my restaurant and that they'd use that to get whatever they wanted from there. And lo and behold, that person turned out to be you, of all people. I was shocked when you told me that to my face.
You have to be lying, but because I am.
I don't ever remember getting any kind of money from you that you wanted invested into my restaurant. That's right. You happen to have a couple of other friends that run high-end restaurants around the city, right? Well, I'd like you to go ahead and tell me what restaurants those are.
No.
Tell me, please. And don't think that I'm going to let you off the hook until you tell me about the other restaurants you're in good relations with, okay? I don't mind how you phrase it as long as you tell me.
Well, there's that one restaurant by City Hall's southern exit.
Right, that's the place that specializes in shrimp, correct? Well, that place also happens to be run by me and my company. What other places do you know?
I've had enough. Sure, I've been saying that I have connections with a lot of restaurants around here, but what's so bad about that?
I never said there was anything wrong with that. I happen to brag about my cooking and my whole company a lot, actually, and about how those have made me into the woman I am today. But the only difference is that I didn't lie about the strengths I have and then use them to talk down to others.
Hey, I just got a text from Amy saying she's cutting ties to me. I'm seriously going to be all on my own now. Please, can you do something on your end to save me?
Ain't that so? You don't have a job yourself, and you'll soon be without a home as well. Soon your life is going to become pretty difficult, Verna. Well, if you're ever feeling a bit hungry, give me a call, please. I'll make sure to have a fresh plate of hot French fries ready for you to eat. As for her daughter, Amy, well, the situation between them became increasingly strained over time. Amy eventually made the difficult decision to cut all ties with her mother. It wasn't an easy choice, and she didn't make it lightly, but Ashley's behavior over the years had worn her down. The final blow came when Ashley blocked Amy on all social media platforms, ensuring that there would be no way for her to ever contact her again. It seemed to be Amy's way of cutting herself off completely, but in reality it left Amy feeling both devastated and relieved. The relief came from knowing that, at least for the time being, she would no longer have to carry the burden of her mother's self-centered attitude. With no family or reliable support system to turn to, Amy found herself stranded in the city, trying desperately to find any connections that might still be willing to lend a helping hand. But it wasn't as if Ashley had many people in her corner. Over the years, she had cultivated a reputation as someone who would brag about her life at every opportunity. Her constant boasting about the luxuries she was able to enjoy, often in the most tactless of ways, had alienated most of the people she knew. So when Ashley came knocking, hoping to find a friend who might help her out of her current predicament, she was met with cold indifference. No one wanted to offer her anything. No one even seemed to care anymore. After all, it's hard to sympathize with someone who had time and time again made others feel small by putting on a facade of superiority. The inevitable happened when Ashley's once privileged life came crashing down around her. With no options left, she found herself back in her hometown, far away from the glamorous life she had once known. To make ends meet, she took on a dirty job that no one else wanted, working as a pig farmer alongside one of her two long-forgotten uncles. Ashley found herself in a world that was a far cry from the high society circles she had once moved in. It was hard, grueling work, and the stark contrast between the life she had imagined for herself and her reality now was enough to make anyone question their choices. But Ashley had no choice. She had burned so many bridges in her past that there was no one left to turn to. Her pride would not let her beg for help, and perhaps, deep down, she knew she didn't deserve it. As for the last time I spoke to her, I remember offering her something as simple as French fries, just as a way to show that I was still willing to help, even if in a small way. It wasn't about the fries, of course. It was about offering some of the kindness in a world that had become so cruel to her. But despite my offer, she never reached out again. I'm not sure whether it was her pride or fear that kept her from contacting me, but I suspect it was a combination of both. Maybe she was too proud to ask for something so trivial, or maybe she was simply too ashamed to face the reality of what her life had become. Either way, she never took me up on the offer. It almost became a joke to me. A reminder of how someone could fall so far, yet still hold on to the remnants of their pride. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Meanwhile, things on my own life were moving forward in a way I never thought possible. Dave and Amy were able to have the wedding they had always dreamed of. It wasn't perfect, nothing ever really is, but it was filled with love, joy, and the kind of happiness that only comes when two people genuinely care about each other. The wedding was a beautiful event, with friends and family coming together to celebrate their love and the future they planned to build together. Amy, despite everything, looked radiant on her special day. Dave, who had been through so much with his own family drama, was equally happy to see his sister finally finding peace in her personal life. Since the wedding, Dave and Amy had settled into a new chapter of their lives, living together in a luxurious penthouse downtown. It was a far cry from the uncertainty they had both experienced in the past, and they were both looking forward to the future with excitement. They had plans to start their own family soon, and their shared dream of creating a stable and loving home was something that brought them closer together every day. For Amy, it was the beginning of a new chapter, one that was free from the toxic influence of her mother. For Dave, it was the confirmation that sometimes, despite everything that goes wrong, things can eventually fall into place. As for the project that Dave had been leading at my company, it was finally back on track after a long and challenging period of uncertainty. When Dakota had come on board to help with the project, it seemed as though everything would fall into place, but the personal drama between him and Ashley had threatened to derail everything. I could tell that Dakota had been distracted, emotionally drained from dealing with her antics, and it was clear that it had taken a toll on his professional life.
But once Ashley was out of the picture, Dakota seemed to find a renewed sense of purpose. His passion for his work reignited and his enthusiasm became contagious once again. He dove into the project with energy and focus, and it wasn't long before things began to move forward in a way we hadn't seen in months. It was as if a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. The Dakota I had been seeing for the past few years, the one weighed down by Ashley's selfishness and manipulation, was gone. In his place was someone who was excited about his job, his life, and the future. And it wasn't just about the project anymore, it was about Dakota rediscovering his own happiness. He had finally freed himself from the chains that had bound him for so long, and it was clear that he was in a better place mentally, emotionally, and professionally. Looking back, it was hard not to feel a little bit of satisfaction in knowing that things were finally going well for everyone who truly mattered. While Ashley continued to wallow in the mess of her own making, the people who had worked hard to build meaningful, positive relationships were thriving. Sometimes life has a way of sorting itself out, even if it takes longer than expected.